Okay, here we go. This is going to be a recording of basically how to set up your user interface, and then we will try and move on to the coordinate system and how that works and how you input coordinates into AutoCAD. Basically to set up your screen to a reasonable level where you can use it, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Starting off with the drafting and annotation up the top here, which is what it should be in. You can then go to the View tab and then follow on to the Tools button. Expand that out to AutoCAD and then pick up, for example, you might want to pick up the Draw one, and that should land on the left. Once you've got the first one there, you can just right click and then pick up the Modify, and that should be on the right. And then you can right click and get the Object Snap. That may land there, or it may land up in the middle of the screen. You can put it wherever you want. You can just basically, I would drag it from the left sort of grey area there, hold and drag with the left mouse button, and I can bring it and stand it up here, or I can stand it up the top there, whichever way. So we just drop it there. That's the object snap, which is an accurate way of snapping onto or latching onto or grabbing onto the end of a line, intersections of a line, or the midpoint of a line, for example. This particular thing here is closely aligned with the object snap. Now, your object snaps will look, or your status bar down here will probably look more like this. I've changed mine. So if it looks like that and it's got the icons, you can change it by right clicking on any icon, and that menu should have this option here. And it might vary, it might look different depending where you right click, but the use icons should have a little tick. I generally prefer to have the English wording, so I just change it back to that. Okay, so that's the basically the user interface. And up here, by the way, when we're talking about user interface, we've got the quick access toolbar, we've got the application menu here, which you can get all your different buttons, which are also on here. This is the ribbon we're talking about here. You can actually get another layer of commands, an old-fashioned type of layer of commands, which is the pull-down menus. They can be accessed via this little down arrow here, and you can then go show menu bar down there, and that will bring another layer up here in case you ever need to go there. A common thing I use from here perhaps is the regen or regional commands, but I usually type it in. And with AutoCAD you can type in commands as well. You can type in L for line is a short command, or you can type in the full command, line, enter, for example. Or you can pick it from here. Now, the golden rule is if you type anything in, including a number or a command, you've got to press enter after you finish typing it in. If you're selecting anything, the golden rule again is that it won't stop asking you to select things until you press the last enter. Now, the enter on the in AutoCAD is basically the enter button, as well as the space bar, except for when you're typing notes, and the right mouse button. The mouse button, by the way, does a couple of things, and if I draw a line in here for now, I'm just going to type in L enter just to show you this. If I scroll in and out, I can zoom in. Now, if I want to zoom into that particular area there, I don't put my cursor down the bottom right because I'll throw it off the edge. And if it does throw it off the edge, how do you find it? The best way is to use the middle mouse button, the scroller, and double click on it, and that will bring it back into view, full view. That's zoom extents in AutoCAD. Now, the other thing is, as I said before, the other thing you can do is pan. If you hold down the middle mouse button, which is a scroller, and move your mouse, it'll pan. So it does three things. It does a zoom in and out. It does the pan, and that's how you end up sort of going to the right spot in your drawing. That's what you do all day. So you learn to use these. And it also does a double click, which is the zoom extents. Sure, you can use these buttons here if you prefer. or you can use these buttons from the View tab, but I find that a lot slower. Okay, so that's basically a quick way around AutoCAD. And the other thing you can do once you've set up your screen and it looks right, you can actually save it, and you can go down to this thing here and just, as you can see, I've got a couple ones there already myself, but you can do save current as, or you can get that from the little cog down the bottom right here. You can do save current as, and you can give it perhaps your initials or your name, and that will be saved as your current sort of workspace in AutoCAD. Okay, so that's a quick look around AutoCAD. You can also dock this command line, we call it, by moving it down a bit and doing that. When you're training initially, I recommend you do that perhaps and bring that up. And also when you're training, I would prefer you had none of these things on until perhaps your exercise required it. I mean, you can have the grid if you really want to, but Object Snap, Ortho is probably the only things we're going to use. The rest of them, Mode Track, and also highly recommend for your exercises you turn off this dynamic input that will interfere with, especially when we're inputting absolute coordinates, which I'll talk about in a minute. It will interfere with that sort of thing as well. So yeah, so again, now I've just fixed up my interface again, and I dragged this up, so I made a couple more extra lines, and I can now, because I've done that change, I can go back and resave Andreas again, so that we've got the latest and greatest workspace. And yes, I want to replace it. All right, so that basically is our user interface, and I might just leave it at that as a short little recording of that. I'll see if I can stop the recording.